I'm going to share my screen, this screen, and then quickly minimize that. And it should be broadcasting. Are you ready? Who are we waiting for? Say hi on Skype. See if there's anybody following along on Skype. Somebody. What can I do? Can I go find that? Huh?
You know, ever since it kicked me out, I can't go back into Skype now.
Oh,
Make another account as well, and it still wouldn't. So
that's weird.
I wonder if it's just my device.
I think you might have to.
Maybe try downloading the app again?
Yeah, scraping it off.
Oh, okay.
Just uninstalling it and then reinstalling it.
You know what I noticed? When I sent my code to you,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it to my own phone.
Yeah.
When I sent it to you, I was able to do it.
That's-
I'm not sure she couldn't send it to me, but she
That's
did.
weird because would think it would go to yours much because I've done it for 10 people here now. You know, so you'd think if they were
So I think that might be the
suspicious
problem.
about it, but
The funny thing is, when I made one at home, I used one with my real name and
Yeah.
everything. That worked at home. So,
well, do you want to use that here? Do you care?
no, I don't care.
Well, then use it here. Go to that account and connect to that, making a connection to me on that. And I'll add you to the group with that account,
Oh, okay.
if it doesn't matter. And yeah, so we're on to day 11. Boy, going fast. And we looked at some interesting stuff yesterday. Google Scholar, Zotero, some of these tools. Stacy, did you get a chance to catch up on that at all, or?
No, I
Okay.
didn't, no.
So what you'll have to do is, and you want to do this probably right away because we're going to go on with that today, is go to Zotero and download Zotero to your computer and then create an account with Zotero. And then then you have to link those two accounts, the account that's on your desktop and the account that's in the cloud, your web-based cloud account. So Zotero is a fabulous bibliographic tool. It can collect all this bibliographic information that if you're ever writing papers or doing just about anything where you've got to collect resources and sort them out and organize them in a way, especially if you're doing academic papers or anything academic, really, it's designed for that. Although I use it for lots of other stuff too. I use it to collect music, like so guitar tabs, recipes. If I like my recipes, I got a whole folder in my Zotero collection for recipes. But it looks like this. Oops. I guess. So another thing I did today was I started what's called a Zotero group. So as I said, we've got in my Zotero account, I've got my, what's that? Oh yeah, well that might be what I have to do. These machines get used by everybody all the time, right? So they only have so much storage space on it. So.
Yeah, all of the directions there. That's very good.
Okay, can you find your Zotero and log into your Zotero?
It's on his blog. There's like a
Yeah.
link
Once
there.
you get onto my blog, you can click on that link, and as soon as you click on that link on my blog and you have your Zotero account open, you're going to see that you've got an invitation to a group. and I'll ask you to join that group.
I still can't get in.
Into what?
You do? Yeah.
Into what?
Get into Google.
Your login? Yeah. Login, delete cookies, I did that already.
What does it say?
Delete cookies?
Oh, yeah.
This one, and I should. When I click on this. Oh, it's, that's just the one you're not reading. Oh, no, I'm not, I can't even.
Lily's here, Haley's here. Who are we missing? No Amber. Oh, Amber's here, sorry. Haley,
My Gmail.
Liz, no Liz. No Bernadette, where's Bernadette? Anyway, that's what we're gonna do today is now, as I said, most of the tools that I'm gonna show you can be used either independently or collaboratively. And Zotero is another one of these tools that can be used collaboratively. And the space where you use Zotero collaboratively is in what they call groups. So I just created a group, and if you go to the day's agenda, you'll see an offer to join the group, join the Zotero group. So while we're getting sort of ready to roll here, you can click on that link and get that going. So that means you're gonna have to open your Zotero account and log into your Zotero account and join the group. And I see one person has joined the group already. S84T03. Who dat?
You joined.
Click on the link.
Yeah, I did. I'm there already. I'm one here.
Okay, and then just there should be a button on there that says join group someplace.
Red. Oh, this one, join the red.
Yeah, join the group.
Okay, with my Skype here, how do I add you on here?
Oh, just go into your contacts.
Not contacts.
Sure
This
you
is what
do.
comes up.
Oh,
How do I?
that's actually the web page. That's not
Okay.
Skype. So you want to go to the Skype application there. That's it. And log into your Skype account. Yeah, and then when you get in there, you'll see add me as a contact. Ggatin is my contact. Yeah. I guess I got to log in too. Yeah, so I see now this group has 5 people in it, and you should be able to start seeing the resources that I've added to this group. And most of this actually is stuff that I've created 2 folders within this group now. One for lesson planning resources, and another one for this little presentation task that we're going to do today we started on yesterday, I guess, but we're going to continue on it today. What I want for the presentation. So my ICT pedagogy. What is my principle of teaching with ICT? And as I said, when we started this course, that was one of the expectations, one of the outcomes of the course is that you develop this philosophy of teaching with technology. So that's what you're going to do the presentation on, is your personal philosophy of teaching with technology. And you're going to support that. It's not just going to be something imaginary that you made up or that you think might work, but you're going to have to support it with science, teaching science, such as it is. And we recognize that teaching science is still a pretty loosey-goosey thing. It's more of an art than a science, but still, there are some things that we know are, we'll call them scientific approaches to teaching and learning. So, and particularly with respect to teaching and learning with ICT. So as you're joining this group, anybody in there? Everybody in there? Everybody finding it? 6 members now. Are you able to see the resources in the group once you're in there? You'll see them, and you see if you click on those resources, it should open up that resource. What's even cooler though is if you go back to your Zotero, your desktop Zotero version now, if you've joined this group, you're going to see something a little different on here now. You're going to have your library, but you're also, oh, okay, but first what you need to do is go over in this little corner here, you'll see the green arrow, circling arrow, synchronize. So what you're doing is now synchronizing your desktop version of Zotero with the cloud version of Zotero. And you've joined my group in the cloud version of Zotero, but it's also going to let you join that group in your desktop version of Zotero too. So does everybody see a group yet? And if you click on that group, open that little chevron beside the group, you'll see that I've created 2 folders in there. And if you click on that folder in there, you'll see what I've put in there so far as lesson planning goes. Same thing with respect to theories in there. So I'm going to actually create another little folder in here now just for our practice purposes. So when I've clicked on this main group node, I'm going to go over here and create within that particular group, I'm going to create a new collection in that group, and I'm going to call this practice. See, another folder opens up here. So now when you're in your Zotero program on your desktop, go into My Library and find something that you put there yesterday. So find something that sort of fits and works with what we're talking about for this class, a theory or some resource related to lesson planning. But for the time being, we'll just practice. And I'm going to drag something over into the practice folder, any old thing, but then just drag it and drop it into that practice folder. Is everybody able to do that? So go from your collection and drag it in, across, and put it in that practice folder in the group, Zotero group.
Does it have to be,
Not for the practice one. We're just get the feel of it by dragging something and putting in the practice folder. So go from your main collection or My Library. I don't know if any of you actually made a folder within your My Library, but on the top of it, it's going to be My Library. And then all the stuff that you downloaded from Google Scholar yesterday should be in that center portion. So you can just drag one and put it over into the folder that we're creating for this purpose here today. We're just going to put it in the practice folder.
Where do we get all those,
This
on the
here,
left side?
this is what you got from Google. Oh, on here?
Yeah.
Well, if you click on the left side, this side here. Well, this is all mine, right? So I use a lot. Yours is going to look different because you just got it started, right? I've been using mine forever, so I've got a whole pile of junk in here. So, but yours now should have a main My Library, and it should have one group underneath, right? Does that show up for you?
This folder?
Yeah. So you're going to have.
This.
Okay, but go to your Zotero application itself. We're going to synchronize it, button those names up there. You see, now you added a group online, and now you also have a copy of that on here. Right? So if you go to My Library, this is the stuff you added yesterday. So grab one of those and drag it over into the practice folder here. Oops. Yeah. And now you see that's going to show up for everybody on the group.
Okay.
So we're going to work together on grabbing resources for what we need, whether that's for the theory, or the pedagogy, activity, the presentation you're going to do on pedagogy, or for lesson planning resources. So that's what I've created 2 folders for now.
If I'm on the right page,
So, like I said, yes.
Okay, so
Slides,
now,
I have to save it because when I went into
Okay.
here, I just.
right, okay, so now go to
Then I.
edit.
Okay.
I don't know where I am.
Okay, you're there.
I'm there.
Yeah, but you want to go to the Zotero application itself. That's Zotero's online version, but you want to go to your desktop version, so just minimize this. Yeah, minimize that.
Oh,
And then find your Zotero down there.
Oh, okay.
I'll just be username.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and now you're gonna have to synchronize, so hit that little circle.
library?
Okay, good luck. So whatever password you use for Zotero. that's-
Do you have this? Is it just up to create a new group then?
No, well, yeah, but you're just gonna join this group. Okay, so now when you're in there, go over, hit that green arrow over the top right there. No, you added yourself to that group online, now you just synchronize it with your desktop.
Okay.
So I'll show you after too.
And then press OK for
Gather
instead of
resources.
sync.
No, well, either or.
Okay.
Okay. Now we did that little sync thing, it might be.
Not let's sync.
Okay, go ahead.
On Zotero? Did you sign into Zotero yesterday?
Now, you sync your desktop version of Zotero with the online version of Zotero. And in your online version, you join that group there. So if you click it on
Is it the right username?
No,
Yeah.
and one of these
And one of
practice,
those,
yeah,
that's what we're.
and then just drag.
Or do
And
I
just
have
drag.
Well,
to?
actually, that's showing you what's in that practice folder.
Oh, in here.
Yeah, but if you go
Okay.
into my library,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
and
Username.
just for practice, grab any one of these things and drag it into the practice folder now.
Well, I have it up here.
Well, that's fine, but you're gonna share it with
And then
me.
instead of.
Oh, in the group. Oh, that's.
So that's what we're doing, is that we're sharing resources that you have in your collection
And then to the
with a
group.
group collection.
What's your group called?
There's a link on the blog.
Hers isn't working either.
Oh,
It's called Penn 2019, but you probably have to, it's probably easy to get it from the blog.
So we're actually opening up two Zoteros.
No,
Yeah, if you
just
come in.
one Zotero, but your Zotero account has a desktop version.
Oh.
So if you went to the library and you didn't have your own computer,
Yeah.
you can log into the library computer, log into your Zotero and do all the stuff.
Really?
Yeah, so. I think most of the library computers in fact have Zotero already on there. So you just have to go there and log into your
Yeah,
account.
instead of downloading and all that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did get
You got it?
What's your email? It's my email, it's my Gmail.
So if you drag something over into that, anything we're just doing regardless. Well, that actually means that there's also something there, so if you click on the, you see, there's also something connected there. Now, we'll look at this now too, because that's another feature of Zotero that I'm just gonna start explaining here. As soon as everybody sort of catches up to it. Is it giving you that same thing with your cookies?
Yeah, now I got it.
Now just put in your password.
We're just doing a thing on Zotero here. You go to the
Now it's
blog.
asking me for your password.
Yeah, but you're, that username you had, but not the email this time. So that's the login, or that the Gmail.
And then you have to join it. You have to log in first.
Oh, yeah. Sync.
No,
Log in, sync.
I'm keeping.
Okay, so we're doing that group. And then you'll see this is a group that are created in these all members, that's what you're doing last meeting. Yeah, so this is the resources that we're adding to that group.
So I don't know.
So there's a few few folders.
Let me see.
Go back to your Zotero, your desktop version of Zotero.
Yeah, sync.
Like this?
Ako niyo mag-green.
Yeah.
Di ba, that's
It
all.
wants you to log on, but you can't log in.
So now you see this. is
Kaya mas tayo yung Gmail.
That's the same one?
Yes, same
You
one.
go to the green arrow on the top there, the single arrow.
Did you try logging in here?
It's gonna sync you. So now you're gonna add your.
Like the Zotero.
The one we have, the account, Zotero's on.
I don't know. I think I just say voice.
You can do a thing called.
Did it work for you?
That's why when I did step back,
Okay. We'll do that.
you never leave now.
And then we'll do the video channel.
So I'm going to
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just trying to say, everyone always works at the job, I'm gonna go send him one.
Do you do the Gmail part?
Actually, but it's slow, like he'll talk and then the pictures like way after.
Everybody has
After.
Microsoft. So it's going to my library there.
Yeah, I did it. Is that just wondering?
Yeah, well, you know, yeah, you gotta have something that's there, so. you
Yeah.
just drag one into the practice group. Doesn't matter.
There we go.
Practice.
Okay, proceed. I see.
So now, whenever anybody goes,
There you go. Never.
you've added something from your collection.
No.
So that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna share resources related to lesson planning, related to this presentation.
Yeah, that's the first one I've been using.
So you download the,
That's pretty
it's from Vectra.
I believe so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you go to Google Scholar, search for some theories on ICT. ICT education, sure, okay. So now, let's see. Let's see.
No.
So go back to Zotero there. And back to the top there. And downloads.
Do something simple.
And that's Zotero.
Oh, I thought I did it.
Just there.
Do you?
Yes.
But why did it go with them?
So now we're back to the Scholar. So now, when we look at this thing, it's Google Scholar finds the, what they call metadata, the information about the information. These are all the reference elements of a particular document.
Oh, okay.
So actually refresh this page. Yeah, see now, there's this little icon. Not that one.
Ah.
So Zotero is collecting all the metadata for this whole collection of resources that you have. So what we were doing is we were just clicking that and then selecting all just to get something in there.
So did you
Saying,
just
okay,
change your password and do that?
go
Network?
back to,
Yeah.
so you see it's adding to yours. Version
Oh.
and collection.
So my license, that's it?
Yeah, so now go back to your Zotero application on the bottom there. And you can see the resources that you have. So then what we're doing is this is your personal library, this is our group library. So we're dragging and dropping one thing into the practice.
Okay.
Just put it in practice. Okay. So now you're basically caught up.
Oh, okay.
Is that working for people now?
No, she can't log on.
To Zotero? What happened there? Let's see. Well, doesn't make a password.
The same problem happened with her in the chat too.
Send a message and say forgot password, there's a lost password there. And they'll send you a message to your Gmail and you can send your password easy. Good, everybody's there? Lauren, work for you?
Yep.
Yeah. So now, if you go to the group, Zotero group, on your own version here, you should be able to see whether that's in your desktop version. And in fact, what you might have to do, because people have been adding stuff along here, you might have to synchronize it again. So just hit that little sync arrow again. So what it's doing is synchronizing the online cloud version of Zotero and this group, and updating your personal version of Zotero. So if you look in here now, you can see in practice, this is what everybody's been putting into this little practice folder. And we're just doing this for fun. But what I'm going to ask you to do is start doing some research and using Google Scholar, researching the topics that we're talking about. And these are the two that I'm particularly interested in: lesson planning resources. And you see what I put. I put a couple of things in there already. 32 research-based instructional strategies, excellent thing to look for. Maps lessons, 5 subject area for maps lessons. So I'm going to add, and I'm going to ask you to do things too, but add, as you find lesson resources while you're doing searching, as you're planning your lessons, add them to this Zotero library. So we can all sort of benefit from us. English First Peoples, this is another interesting resource that I came across just this morning. Well, actually, I'm taking a course, and I'm taking an online course from University of Victoria or Vancouver on reconciliation, and this is part of the course. If you look through the materials on the side here, still giving you grief?
Yeah.
Did it send you a new password?
Yeah.
Okay. Should eventually catch you up. Anyway, whenever you see a post like this that has a URL, if you click on the little hover over the URL and click on the URL, it'll put you into that resource. So this one actually was kind of an interesting site. As I said, it had all sorts of lesson planning resources with a First Nations focus to them. This is a grade 10 to 12 resource guide. What else? I think they had, yeah, grade 11 and grade 12 English curriculum resource guides with a First Nations focus. So yeah, I thought that was kind of a cool thing for people to take a look at. Anyway, then if you look at the online version of Zotero, you still see all of the resources that have been added in there. I guess I should update this too, because people have been adding things here. So as we've been going along, people have been adding different things to this group. I can go back to the group library. So when I look at it in the group library format, I can see all the different folders that are on there that we've created. I can see what people have put into the whole library. Then I can see what people have put into the practice folder, or into the theories folder, or the lesson planning folder. So those are all things that make this a web-based collaborative application with the specific purpose of sharing academic resources and working on projects. It's got one other thing on here. I'll have to probably turn it on. Let me see, where is it? This group. And anybody can make groups. You don't even have to have a paid subscription to it at all. But in the groups, where is it now? I want to set up a conversation. Right. You can see I use this lots for different things too. Pint. Where is it? Manage profile. Where is it? Somewhere over here is a enable comments. So now when I go back to my group, and when you go refresh your Zotero and go to this group again, and go to that Pent group. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Did I lose it already? I can't have. Oh, did lose it already. So now you see, now that I've turned this combining feature on in there, oh, I guess it changed, for some reason it changed the name of the group too. Did it change it for you too?
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. I'll change it after. But if you look down now where it says new discussion, now we can start having a conversation. So adding. So say hi. So now until they go to this group, you should see the library, you should see the members in it. So now, right now, we've got 10 members in this particular group. I was looking for people adding conversations. So somebody, the discussion is open here now. So this was the discussion I started, and S84T, blah, 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 whoever that is, said hello. So you do that too. Go in there and go into that when you're on the online version, go into that discussion at the bottom of our group library, say hi. Too. Bonjour works too. So that's what I'm saying now. Go do a little bit of research on Google Scholar. And as you're planning your lessons, and I'm sure most of you are actually fairly well into this lesson planning process as you go, but as you're looking for lesson planning resources, whether that has to do with the topic area, subject area, whether it has to do with the notes that you're adding, the evaluation process that you're including in your lesson plan, any research that you do on that, add it to this group, because other people are going to be looking for it too. So similarly, we're going to do the same thing for when we start talking about the presentation, and that's what I'm going to carry on with today. And maybe even more important for the presentation activity, as I said, I want to make this presentation using a thing called pakuchka. Anybody ever come across that term before? Pakuchka. It's kind of like Japanese karaoke. It's a nerdy karaoke. So what they do is and you see this at conferences sometimes. You'll go to a conference and they'll have this pakuchka competition. So what they do is they have a presentation, a slideshow basically of 20 slides. And you get up on stage. You've never seen the presentation before. You've never seen the slides before. But as soon as they start presenting it, you've got to start talking. And you've got 20 seconds per slide. So, and then by the end of that 20 seconds, it's a contest, right? So the person that does the best presentation, usually the person that's the best BSer, of course, and talker, which is the idea of presentations, is the winner. So that whole concept though, 20 slides with 20 seconds of narration per slide works out to 6 minutes and 40 seconds of content. And it's my profound hope and ongoing lifetime campaign to make sure that all presentations that are ever given again will be no more than 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Have anybody sat through a presentation? The PowerPoint presentation? with 50 slides. You all have. You've all gone to classes where people use presentations to present. And it's the boringest thing in the world. Sorry. It is. It's awful. It's horrible. Because as I mentioned before, by the time you're on the 5th slide, you've forgotten what was on the 1st slide. Who cares? So PowerPoint presentations, although they've got some advantages and some features to it, most of they are horrible ways of teaching. So, but for this little purpose, that's why I thought we could put this together. So what you're going to actually do, though, is create this presentation. You're going to use Google Slides to create this presentation. And the subject of this presentation is going to be my ICT pedagogy. And you're going to support that with the research that you've done on Google Scholar on what does that mean? What is pedagogy? What do I believe? And you're going to look up some theories and see which one resonates the best with you. Which theory of learning with ICT makes the most sense to you? Which one do you want to build into your philosophy of teaching with technologies, teaching with ICT? And you're going to have to support it using resources that we're collecting in Google Scholar, putting into Zotero, sharing with each other. And then, yeah, as I said, we're going to create a presentation using Google Slides. How do we find Google Slides? Google Drive, yes, exactly. So, or it might be right on your top of this thing. So here I've got mine right there. Looks like this. Start a new presentation. So you can find it in a few different ways, right? So you can go back to Google Drive. And what you're looking for is this Google Slides. Okay. Yeah, so that's, oh, so now you get it. See?
Oh, yeah.
Did you join the group?
Okay.
Okay, just minimize that. Go back to the blog. Go back to my blog now. So, and put that in there. And yeah, okay, there you go. You join that group. You see the red button. Yep. So there you remember this group. Good. And then go down to your Zotero again. On the bottom. System tray. And now refresh or synchronize again. Now because you joined that group, now it shows up on your version of Zotero too. So this is what we're doing. We're just going from your library and adding it to the group library. So just drag and drop any one of yours to that practice folder.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, we're just practicing, just get the feel of it. Practice. And then if you click on practice, you'll see what everybody's added. So that's what everybody's doing is added. So that's what you're doing. So you're up to speed on that. Now we're on to going to Google Docs or Google Drive where Google Slides is, yes. And that's actually there too. So go into New. When you're in Google Drive, go to New. Go down to Google Slide. Google Slides. Everybody there? And then, yeah, so it's a lot like creating a PowerPoint presentation. In fact, you can import a PowerPoint presentation into your Google Drive, and you can export. If you create a presentation in Google Drive, you can export it to Microsoft PowerPoint. But we're going to work in Google Drive. So here's your untitled presentation. Give it a title. Call it my ICT pedagogy. What do we say pedagogy means again?
Learning with the teacher, with your student?
It's your theory, your philosophy of teaching and learning. This is how you believe learning actually occurs. And you actually put your name on it. Instead of, I'll do it too. I'll put, because usually I get a whole bunch of these things and they're all said my, and then I've got 10 presentations that all say my presentation. So I'll call this Glenn's presentation, and you can name yours your own use your own name. So has anybody made presentations with PowerPoint before? Yeah, sure. So it's pretty similar. So it's going to give you slides. On the left-hand side are going to be the slides in this presentation. Right now, it just starts with one. It's going to give you this main slide. It's going to give you one that kind of looks like this to start with. Although you can change the layout of the slide to be these different types of slide layouts. So if you click on slide and look down here, you can make a slide that's all these different sort of formats, or even just a blank page. But usually for the first slide, you're going to start with something that's got like a title and then a subject. So my ICT, Glenn's ICT, ICT pedagogy. In Pakuchka format. Pakuchka. I don't know why they say it Pakuchka. In Pakuchka format. Howdy.
In what?
Pakuchka, it's called. It's this Japanese. It means what does it mean? I forget exactly. It's some like quick talk or something like that. It's like a talking karaoke. You make this up, and in this case, we're not going to make it up, so it's not exactly Pakuchka, but ordinarily somebody would give you a presentation with 20 slides and say, start talking. Whether you knew anything about the topic or not, the contest is that how good of a talker are you? How good of a BSer are you? That's the fun. Anyway, so now we've got one slide. So now we're going to go, there's a few different ways to add slides, but if you go into slide, you can duplicate the slide that you already have if you want, but we want to put a new slide on here. And now this is going to be, so for one of mine, I'll put connectivism. Because that's one of the theories that I sort of subscribe to. And then I'm going to give a few bullet points about how it works. So the theory of connected learning. And I'll put probably 2 or 3 points on each slide. And what you're going to do is eventually you're going to narrate this presentation, and you've got 20 seconds to narrate for this slide. So when I present this, so I'm going to do my presentation, and I'm going to say blah, blah, blah. I'll introduce it. I'll say for 20 seconds, I'll talk about what I'm going to plan to do in this presentation. When I go into the second slide, talking about connectivism, I spend 20 seconds talking about this slide. Then I'm going to add another slide, and I'm going to put 20 slides on here. And for each one of these slides, I'm going to give 20 seconds of narration. What is it? What am I talking about in this slide? Then the next one I'll put is, I'll use the ones that I'm using today, actor network theory. And some of these, and I'll do another one. I'll go on and make another slide and call it, this one I'll call it UCAP. What does that mean, UCAP? I guess I'm going to do it right. I love this one. Ubiquitously connected. See if I can spell it all. And pervasively proximal. Good words. I love that just because it's got all these big words on it. And I'll go back and tell you what that actually means too. And then I'll make one more slide just for fun and call this I call this one situated learning. This one's got some really interesting terms too. Legitimate peripheral participants in communities of practice. Well, these are just mine. These are sort of the theories that are part of my approach to teaching, part of my pedagogy, and some of them might work for you. I encourage you to check them out for sure, but decide whether they actually appeal to you or not, whether they make sense to you or not. Make sure that you that they're well supported. So
you just want us to list our strategies that we're going to use against ICT in the classroom.
This is going to be your philosophy, your approach to teaching with ICT is what I'm looking
How
for.
many theories do you want?
Well, again, what I'm going to ask you to do is probably 2 or 3 different theories, and then a couple of slides to support each theory. So, for example, now I'm going to go into this one, connectivism. So I'll add a slide at this point, and I'll say my evidence for connectivism. And I'll say, Joe, well, in fact, what I'm going to do is go over and go into my Zotero, and I'm going to go up to my library and search for something that I have on connectivism. I got lots because this is a popular theory for me. So I'm going to go over to this one, and I'm going to create a bibliography from that item. And this, what you might have missed, Stacy, too, is how to create a bibliography, but we'll do this. So I'm going to save it as a copy to my clipboard. Now I'm going to go back into my presentation that I've got here, and I'm going to pop that reference in there. So this is one resource that talks about the theory of connectivism and supports it. What I'm going to do then also is find another slide, a new slide, and call this con. So what you're basically going to be presenting a pro and con for each theory, because it's important to know what the good things are about the theory, but you also need to know what the weaknesses of the theory. So I'll call this weaknesses or criticisms of connectivism. And then I'll go again, find another resource where somebody's critiqued connectivism. It says, and I've got a few of those in here too, theory or phenomena. Okay, let's call that one. Because some people don't believe it's a theory. Why wouldn't it be a theory? Well, if it's not testable, usually that means it's not a theory. So that's what this particular paper is trying to say. Connectivism sort of makes sense, good, but it's not testable. So in that sense, we can't really call it a theory. So then finally, so I've got one slide that introduces the theory of connectivism, one slide that presents evidence to support it, one slide that talks about the weaknesses or the criticisms of this theory. And then finally, I'm going to make a new slide and say my position on connectivism. Why do I believe it? I like it. So now I've got a presentation with, I don't know how many slides have I got going now, 8 slides. Some titles, some information that's available that I'm going to start fleshing out, of course, and then adding value to this too. And then go on to the next thing, go on to the next theory that I'm presenting here, doing the same thing. What is actor network theory in the first slide? Then what evidence is there, scholarly evidence is there to support that theory? What scholarly work has been done to critique that theory? And then where do I fit? Where does that fit for me? Who do I believe? Do I believe the pros or do I believe the cons? Obviously, if I'm presenting it, I'm presenting the pro position. So yeah, we've created a presentation right before your eyes of 8 slides. We're going to do it 20 slides for this presentation. And then as we go along, we'll talk about. So if I'm going to talk about UCAP, ubiquitously connected and pervasively proximal, let's see, somebody time me, see if I can explain it in 20 seconds. You ready? So ubiquitously connected means we all have one of these things and we're all connected to the internet at all times, which means that our network is pervasively proximal. We're always next to our network. So anytime I want to know something, what do? Well, I might know it in my head, but I know it in my network. My network knows it, especially if I've built a network that knows what I want to know. So then instead of having to just remember stuff, I just have to remember that my network knows. So if I want to know something, I ask my network. How many seconds is that?
35 seconds.
Oh, that's too much. Okay. Way too much. It's a fairly complex, so I might want to put 2 slides dedicated to the
So
explanation.
can
of
we
what
be
this is.
over by?
Well, what you'll do is then plan it out so that each slide is 20 seconds. So I would have started maybe the first slide talking about ubiquitously connected, then the next slide would talk about pervasively proximal, sort of thing.
Do you want us to record ourselves, or are we gonna?
Yeah, so we're gonna actually, no, we're not gonna present. 20 people doing presentations? No way. No way, no way, no how. No, what you're gonna do is record this presentation, record your narration, put it on your blog,
The same way you're doing.
the same way I'm doing it here. And I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do it too. So for example, now I've got this presentation, nothing fancy. I could go along here and add different templates, different appearances. I've got a whole pile of them in here already too. So you can choose them and you can customize them. The other thing that we can do, of course, in anything to do with Google, I'll go make a new slide here, and I'll change the format of this slide to I'll change it to just a blank sheet. And then I'm going to insert something here. I'm going to insert an image. Go find it on my computer or up by URL, or in this case, I've got my camera set up to do it. Oh, did it do it? Oh, I blew it away. No, I didn't do it. Somehow it didn't catch my mug. I'll try it again. Oh, I got to do that, of course. Okay. So now you can do whatever you want with that. I should probably put that on my first page, introductory page. What else can you insert in these things? Just look through all the different things, text box, audio clips. So I could have recorded something, a little audio clip, and saved it on my Google Drive, and then inserted it into this presentation so that when you went to this presentation, it would automatically start. We won't do that. It doesn't quite work quite as well for what we're trying to do here, but that's the idea. We could insert shapes, all these different shapes, arrows. I don't know. Over here. What else can I put in here? Shapes, callouts. What's a callout? These little things that give you sort of speech bubbles. Add in something in here. I could add text, edit text in here. Yeah, I hear the drums. Let's dance. Howdy. Whatever. So you could do all sorts of things to customize slides, add materials to this. Yeah, and I'll encourage you to sort of explore the different possibilities on it. Charts, line arts, animations, all these different things. And of course, this is connected to everything Google too, right? So got lots of powerful things. I changed my background to this dark one. No, I don't like that. I don't like dark ones too much. Although sometimes you have to, I've actually got a presentation that I'll share with you that talks about how to make presentations. What's the most effective way to do presentations? And it kind of depends what room you're planning to present in. So for us, it doesn't matter because it's going to be online. But if you are in a big room, you're going to want a presentation that's visible from the back of the room, right? So that means that you're going to have to design your presentation such that people can see it from the back of the room. So you're going to want to choose a theme that supports that idea. I guess this one I got. So I'm just added it on the first slide, so but I can make it apply to all slides. So what else can we do? Well, let's stop with that for the time being, and we'll go back and we'll add different things to it. But you see this present button, start a presentation. I guess I should have gone back to the beginning. So now here's my presentation. I'm starting my presentation, blah, 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 blah. So I've gone through my presentation. Thank you very much. Oh, I forgot to put a slide that says thank you very much. And then when I want to get out of it, just press the escape button on your keyboard. So that's the one way that we can do this. Just to use it, if you're using your laptop and you're doing a presentation, there you go. So this is projected up on the screen. You're up talking at the podium. You're doing your presentation, or when you're teaching to a class, for example. So you've got all of your slides available. These are your controls. Few things that you can put on here. You can put notes, so speaker's notes. So if I'm talking about this particular slide, for example, I could put a note on here that tells me what I'm talking about. It also gives me a timer, so it tells me how long I'm going to take to say my how much time I've got before the slide changes. And then you could set it up so that when you're presenting, the notes only show to you. They don't show to anybody else, of course. So. But what we're going to do is go in and, what did I do? What did I do? I lost it. The one I just made. Is it this one right here? Oh yeah, right there, of course, yeah. Okay, now I want to share this. So I want to make this available online. I've got a couple of options here. I want to go into the advanced, and I want to make sure that I've changed it so that other people can see this. So I'm going to make it so that it's public on the web. And anyone, in this case, I'm just going to make it so that anyone can view. But if I wanted to do this collaboratively, I wanted to create a PowerPoint presentation or a slides presentation with other people, I can make it so that other people can join this document and edit it or comment on it, or in this case, I'm going to make it just view. So I'm going to say that. What else do I need to say? Okay, public on the web, save. Then I'm going to say done. What else do I need to do? Done. And get the shareable link. I'm missing, oh, I'm going to go back into the advanced option here now, and I want to change this, as I said, to as public on the web. Okay, no, it's done. So now when I get the shareable link, there's a, let's see, anyone you can find, copy link. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to wherever I'm going to post this on my blog. I'm going to create a new page. And in pages, new page, and go to the HTML code and place this in here. What does that look like? I'm missing a step here. I'm missing something because I want to embed it. Yeah, I actually want to embed it as a, so it's, where's that show up? Shareable link. No, I've lost it. Change. Sharing options. Oh, can't find it. Present view, present on their screen. Ah, what's going on? I lost it. Oh my goodness. I have to Google it. Save, done, present. Slide 1. Huh. Where's the embed code? No, I gotta hunt for it. All right, so that's basically the idea, though, that I'm gonna get an embed code for this, and I'm gonna be able to embed it on my page as a embedded presentation that actually has narration. In fact, what you're gonna do is, probably most people are gonna do this, is start the presentation and just start talking and timing yourself. And I'll show you how to change this so that the slides advance automatically, and set it so that they advance in 20-second intervals. And then you're going to record over top of it, so you can use things like, for example, we could use this Screencastify. So I start recording my screen. Yes, this is the one I want to share. And now I'm recording.
3, 2, 1.
So here I am recording a Screencastify of my presentation. I'm talking about my Pakuchka, my philosophy for ICT pedagogy. Next slide, I'm going to talk about my understanding of the theory of connectivism. I'm going to talk about this for 20 seconds, and then I'm going to go on and talk about the next slide for another 20 seconds. And I should be able to set up a timer or recorder down here that's going to be able to, that I'll be able to see where I am for time. And then once I'm done, 6 minutes and 40 seconds, I'm recording a Screencastify. I will have a presentation that I can then share to YouTube. I'll do this right now.
You recommend using Screencast?
It's probably one of the simpler ones, yeah, for sure. The other one is Google Hangouts, like I'm doing with this whole class, right? So I'm going to go over here now. Oh, where is it? I don't want to copy a link. I want to go and find the actual. I want to go to my YouTube account and find. I hope I'm not jigging up my my presentation here. I don't think so. Where's my stuff? Here's my dashboard. Here's the one I just created now. So here I am recording a Screencastify. Did you find the sharing feature? Okay.
I'm talking about.
Oh, right, yes. Okay, so I'll go back to that, but I'm on this point now. Shut up here for a minute. Just shut up for a minute. Okay. And then share, embed, find my code, same old thing, go back to my blog, the page that I'm using to create for this presentation. Pop it in here, get rid of that.
That's once you've shared it to YouTube, like you've Screencastified it, you've done your presentation. Yep. You post it to YouTube, then you take that embed code and put it in your.
Yeah, so then once we get it, it should look like this. And it'll actually be a page that's going to show up on here. Did I give this page a name already? Let me just go back and check here. I'm going to give this page a title, my ICT pedagogy. Update this page, go back to my blog. On the top of my blog, put it along here. So now I'm going to add this, my ICT pedagogy, save it. And now your course is complete. So when I click on my ICT pedagogy, or when I click on yours, I should be able to see your presentation, the recording of your presentation. So here I am recording a Screencastify of my blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yeah, where was it? Go back, I'll go back into this now, go into file, yes, right. Yeah, you gotta share it.
Can you have video or can you use voice clip?
Well, you're gonna have to make a presentation of it somehow so that I can view it. So I wanna go to your webpage, click on the link and hear you do your presentation. So that's sort of the idea. Yeah, sorry, here was, what was it? Make available offline?
Published to the web.
Published to the web, right. Oh, sorry. publish to the web. And then when you're publishing to the web, this is what I was looking for before. You want to advance the slides we wanted to do it 20 seconds, right? So, but if I look on here, I don't have a 20-second option. The heck.
15.
Well, we got 15, but let's look, watch this. Here's this funny thing. I have a couple other options that I could do here. Start the slideshow as soon as the player loads. No, you want the guy that's watching this to be able to start it himself. Restart the slideshow. No, I don't want it to do that. I don't want to be in a loop. So I'm just going to publish it. Okie dokie. And now it's giving me either a link or the embed code. I want the embed code. So this is my slideshow. I'll put it over on the blog first and explain it from there. I'll put it along with this on my presentation, but the actual slide presentation, I'll put it on the same page and go down. And look at this code here now. It looks like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, right? Can I focus a little bit harder here? I'm going to put it on here. So this is, but you start being able to make some sense out of these different things. So the frame, and you can see width is 960. It's pixels, they call it, but they're units of measurement on a web page. So in this case, it's 960 pixels wide. And how high is it? Yeah, 569, the height.
Yeah, they're only 350.
Yeah, and the other one, yes. So they all have their sort of different dimensions, and that's how it's going to display on the blog. But what I want to look for over here, though, is delays. So this is what's going to set the speed at which these slides advance. And remember we said it was at 30 seconds? This is actually 30 milliseconds. So this delay milliseconds equals 30. So that's 30 milliseconds. But I want it to be 20 milliseconds. 20,000 thousandths of a second. So if I just change this to 2, now that slide is it's gonna advance every 20 seconds like I wanted it to do, right? So even though Google didn't give me the option to choose 20 seconds, I can change the code and get some control of it. So then I'll update this, and I'll go back and I'll zoom down a little bit here. Go view this presentation. Now here's my recorded presentation, and here's my the actual slides presentation of it embedded on here. If I start it and count with me, how long does it take to change slides? 1, 2. Oh, changed already. What's going on? Stupid thing. Oh, maybe I changed. Oh, you know what I did? Yeah, I said at 3 seconds I need to make it. I mean, to make it 20. Yeah, 20,000. Yeah. So anyway, so that's. But I can do that right now, right? I can go into here. I can go into this one, and right there where it says 2,000, I'll make it 20,000. Update. Now count with me. Do we have to wait for the whole 20 seconds? Yeah, we might as well.
Do we really want to do that? Like, do
Yeah.
we, like, what if we talk more on one slide and we want on the
No.
other? No?
No, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point, is you want to be organized, you want to be concise and precise. That's the objective of this, is getting our thoughts organized in a very systematic way and learning how to constrict ourselves, how to make it 20 seconds worth of stuff that you're talking about, because that's kind of important as you go along. When you're teaching, of course, you've got 50 minutes. How can you condense your talk so that the first 10 minutes is this, so that by the time 50 minutes comes, you haven't either talked way too much or talked way too little? How do you get the timing right? So this is one of the little strategies that I use for getting people to develop that competence, basically, and use technology to develop that competence.
So even if you're done in 10 seconds, as long as your slide is 20 seconds long?
Well, I mean,
Talking in 10 seconds.
I'll actually show you how to do that. There's an application called, what's it called? I got it on here.
Why don't you just put like 15 seconds?
Audacity, well, because that's the job, is to do it in 20 seconds. But there's an application called Audacity, and sadly, it only works on desktop computers, and these don't have microphones on them. I'll show anybody that wants to learn how to use this, though, Audacity, so that you can take a 10 or a 15-second audio clip and stretch it out to 20 seconds and make it so that it didn't sound funny. Because you know what happens usually when you stretch things out, and then the voice slows right down and sounds goofy.
Karaoke songs.
Yes, yes, actually, people use this for all sorts of audio stuff. Yeah. So, anyway, let's have a break. We yacked way too much. I went past my 20 seconds. Went past my 6:15. Anybody need a hand with that thing? You there?
She's lost.
Okay, yeah, no, she's not very lost, I don't think. Yeah, she's up there. Okay, yeah. So you're on your slide, change my to put your name on there, just so that when you send this to me, I don't have 16 my's. Okay, yep, so you're there, so now you've created we're using my stuff, right, the things that I was talking about?
Mhm.
Yep, okay, that's good. So now, but you'll want to go and do your own stuff, right?
Oh, this is just an example.
This is just my example that I was working out to show you,
Okay.
you know, so now if you go into, do what we did there, go into File, and down to Publish to the Web. And you want to edit embedded, so click on where it says embed. And we don't care about this because you can fool around with that, but just say Publish. And then, yeah, say okay. And you can grab that code. Just copy it, Control C right now.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes Google doesn't like using that command, they want to use Control C. That's fine, you should have a copy. Go back to your blog now. Blog there, your own blog. Yeah. And now create a page, a new page, and call it my new page. My ICT pedagogy presentation or whatever. Philosophy, call it whatever you want, but it's. And then go down there, in the blog, yeah, and change to HTML because you've got code, right? So you got to change that thing to where it says HTML. Yeah. Now paste that. And now you see what I'm saying. Here's where you can find that. So change that 3 to 20. So instead of 3,000, it's 20,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's 2,000, put one more zero. So these are microseconds, so that's thousands of a second. Okay, and now publish it. And then go view it. So that'll be your presentation. So now we're gonna have to fool around with this and change the sizing, get it right size and everything. Remember it was 900 wide.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay, but it runs into conflict on the way you get your blog set up. And if you start playing it now, it should advance the slides every 20 seconds, whatever it's doing. One last thing, go back up to the top of your blog there, and go into that toolbar again, and click on that. And save it. Now, probably want to go through these and change these a little bit just so that they're all fit along here. Well, it starts another way.
Yeah.
So, but that's where I'm going to look for your presentation on your blog.
Okay.
Yeah, so now you have to make your own presentation, or you can go back and customize this one,
Okay.
or fool around with it. Anybody else? Billy, you're okay?
How do I get it embedded?
So they went to File and Publish to the Web.
Oh, even though I don't have anything.
Oh, okay. Oh, where are you? Oh, yeah, no, you gotta go back to presentation case of Google. Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't need to have to be anything on there, but you can add your, so file, publish to the,
Some share.
no, down below it says publish to the, and then embedded. And then check. Well, no, actually, so I wouldn't check those things, but just publish it. And then grab that code, it's blue, so just control C, put that to your blog. And there, yeah, so put that code in there. Create. Page, that's good, and then go back to blog, through blog. And then along the top here, grab the tool and check it. And put it on, save it. So when I do the marking again, that's what I'm going to look for. Click on the link and hear your presentation.
Okay, and when is this due, the last date?
Yeah, well, all of it, everything's
Okay.
due at the end, so,
Okay.
or within a week of the end, sort of thing.
Okay, all right.
Depending on how soon Bernice starts giving me grief. Get your marks in. Get your marks in or we aren't gonna pay you. So wait, you already paid me. Ah.
How many times have I been absent
I don't know.
to your,
According to me,
yes,
let me see. Well, last week, we were here on the 15th, Monday.
the only day I missed was, Wednesday,
Last week.
and I was, taking the class from home on Thursday.
This class? You participate in this class? Okay, I'm happy to give you, so you missed the 10th. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Good. All fixed. There's Haley. Haley's not here. Liz is here. No Bernadette. Hey? Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, we'll do the same thing. It'll be recorded so you can watch it when you get around to it, so. So everybody created a blog post for today, adding value to it. We're covering a fair bit of ground here, so it'll be important to keep up on that. So Stacy, that's the other thing we were doing yesterday with Google Scholar, was just exploring the possibilities that's there. And I don't know if you noticed, but this is all published materials, right? These are all primary resources that are suitable for academic work, right?
Right.
So one of the things that we do, assessing the test, for example, I always want to look at the most recent information. So you can select this and change it so it says only things published in academic journals or books since 2015. And for most of the things in ICT, you want the most current stuff because things are changing fast. They're way out ahead of us usually. So anything that's 10 years old is.
So then rather than go to the library, this is right here.
Yeah, in fact, it also connects to the library's resources too. You can set up your Zotero account or your Google Scholar account to connect to your Brandon University account and access whatever is available in the library. So yeah, it's got some real possibilities for sure. Yeah, and then whatever folder you've got clicked in your Zotero, when you do your saving on Google Scholar, it's going to go into that folder. So if I go into this practice folder now, if I've got that highlighted, I go into this little search I did in Google Scholar that's, assessing with tests since 2015, and I collect that, I harvest those metadatas. So I'm going to say select all. Okay, it's going to go into that folder on.
Okay, and if you just want to select one, it's just a matter of not selecting them all.
Yeah, and I'm just doing it so that I got lots of stuff in there. But yeah, you'll go through them and see, does this look right? Does that look right? And then you'll have to go through and cultivate them too. And we know that, for example, some things where I specified, and I always specify using APA format. So APA 6th edition format. So the APA 6th edition says that you only capitalize the first word of the title and the first word of the subtitle. So in this case, I'd have to go through this and manually change this so that it's only the first letter capitalized, which is a bit of a pain.
Doesn't do that for you?
No, not in this case. It collected whatever metadata was available on Google Scholar. So not everybody does things with APA format. So you just have to make sure that if you're required to produce things in APA format, you'd have it set up properly. So this text. So now that's the title. This is the subtitle. So instruments and procedures. Procedures doesn't need a capital. So now I've changed that so that it's a API consistent format. Then when I was creating, and this is what we did yesterday too, and what you missed was going into this and creating a bibliography from that item. So that's that specific item. Create bibliography from the item. You got to decide whether you want it in APA format. 6th edition is what I require. I want it as a bibliography, and I want to save this now to my clipboard. So once I've said that, now I got to go find a place to put it, a document, and we were fooling around putting it in Google Docs, of course. I'll go find the doc that I was fooling around with yesterday. Yeah, this is the one we fooled with, was it? Zotero test, this is the one we were playing with. So I just went like this. I'll clean this all out and find a spot. Not in APA, it's called a reference list or references. References. And then APA has a very, I didn't mean that, very particular style of producing references. It has that hanging indent, so that, opposite indent. So if you're trying to do that by yourself, that's painful, but Zotero does it for you automatically.
Okay. So what was the purpose of changing it changed it in?
Yes, because now in this reference that I've saved in Zotero, it's actually saved in APA format.
Oh, okay.
So if I was using another format like Chicago or something like that, where they require every word to be capitalized, well, then I have to go back to change it again. So.
Okay.
But this, you know, most of the time when you're doing things in education or social sciences, generally APA is a pretty standard format. So.
And it was even a thing on Brown University website
Yeah.
where I looked at for you.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, they've got a tutorial on Zotero on there too. So here's the other thing now. If I want to add a whole bunch, so I've written a paper and I've put all my resources for this particular paper in one folder over here that I called my paper. In this case, we've called it practice. But these are all the references that I've used in my paper. Now I can make a reference list with the whole collection. So I'm going to go into here, create bibliography from collection. Say, okay, go back to my Google Doc. And now I'll get rid of this one. And of course, references have to be in alphabetical order. Instead of me having to sort it, Zotero's done it. So let's put all those references in there, that whole collection in there in one blast, alphabetically sorted, in the right configuration. So if you've ever typed papers and had to manually put references in, this is well worth learning how to do right off the bat. Saves you so much time and so much effort. So yeah, works good.
And it's copy to clipboard.
Yeah, copy to clipboard. You see the other options that you have in there. The other thing is that we had that, the other was the possibility was put a bibliography or a citation. So when you're writing papers, you have to put the citation in the text, right? So I'll say something like Amish et al. Amish and others claim that thermal adaptation, blah, 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 something like this, just anything. So now I want to be able to reference that particular article. So I'll go back into my Zotero collection now and find that one that was written by Amish that I put in there. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Right there. So now I want to create a bibliography from that particular item, but I don't want to put a bibliography now. I want a citation. So I'll change it to that and then go back to my paper. Now here, and this is when you're writing papers, you have to, every time you cite something from a paper, you have to put a citation right in the paper. Now I can just go like this. Let's put that in there in the right format. So it's designed for academic uses, academic work. So is everybody back that's coming back? Let's try something here. And I'm sort of still on the theme of collaborative things that you could use to possibly organize collaborative lessons. So I'm going to go in here and create, well, let's go look at one that I already created. We got some time. This is the one that we did with the last group. So we're gonna build a multiple choice test together. And here's what people did last time in the last class. I said, let's go to this, we'll brainstorm, we'll all work together in this. Everybody give me a question that I can put into this test. And so we're using things like the terminology, the stuff that was new to you in this class, words that you hadn't heard before. So overflow icon, what's an overflow icon? So we're gonna build together, put the questions together for a test. And you see we had a whole bunch of these different questions. Everybody came up with a question. I'll show you something cool about this MindMeister. So down in the bottom corner here, you see these little icons. There's a little timeline view. So this is another feature of MindMeister, is that every change that's made on a map is saved. So if I want to go back and see it as it was in the very beginning when I first started this thing, let's see if it's going to do it. Load more, load more. Come on. Well, it's not going to load anymore. So I'm going to play it. So now I see, as this thing was constructed, I can see, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, so now you can see, as people are entering things, you can see a record of this thing. So you can visualize, it's almost like a timeline. So as I was saying, you could do this almost for the Pakuchka, the presentation I was just talking about. Time the presentation, so every 20 seconds that you add a node. Man, what's going on here? And you can see as it's going along here, who's adding what. So every person that's added something, that person. So there, and it depends on where we're looking at the map. I don't know who's doing what where, but it's keeping track here. So it's adding, it's got a record of every node that was added to this. So that I don't have to be really too concerned about ever anybody wrecking this map, because if I wanted to go back to an earlier state, I could just say revert, and we'll go back to the original state. So I don't want to, yeah, well, you see what happened here. People are adding things, blah, blah, blah. Usually this player is moving along here too, so you can see where it's going. So I'm going to save this one. I'll create another one for us. Okay. So I'm going to go in and wait, new map. And because I pay for this thing, I've got, I can make as many as I want basically. So I'm going to create a new one. And, oh, sorry. And this one I'm going to call Pent quiz questions. Okay, I'm going to say okay. And I'm going to start, I'll just put a first node here, Glenn's. So then when I create my question, it's going to be attached to my node. When you join this map, you'll add it to your own, you'll create your own node and add it to. Okay, I'm going to publish it. And I'm going to make it so that that you can come here and edit it as well. So everyone can edit and everyone can copy this too if you want. Okay, so I'm going to go and grab the, get a shareable link and say done. Okay, now I'm going to go put it on, I'll put it on my blog just because it's probably the easiest place for everybody to get to. Where was it? Down here, MindMeister. I'll put it right here. That's not it. Get up a shareable link. Oops. That look like a shareable link? Okay. Okay, so now if you go to the blog, can you find it? Refresh the page, click that link.
It's not there yet.
Just, you might have to refresh, or I might have to refresh. You got it? Okay.
Never mind.
So as soon as you get it, you should be able to get in here and start, type your name, make a new node with your name. I see I have one person in here. It is, who is it? Can't tell.
Right on the same page as yours or what?
Yeah, so you're on this link now when you click this?
Yep, got it.
This is a space that we're going to work with collaboratively. So click on that center part, and then you should be able to create a node. So how do we create a node? Tab. Put your name in that tab. made it so that everybody could edit. Yes, everyone can edit.
If you understand,
The first one,
not like on this page, the next page, to see.
Okay, so now I can see everybody's on here. So now beside your name, think of a good quiz question. So you can see, I put a sort of a suggestion on the page there too. Where is it? When you create a multiple choice question, what do? You have to have the stem, you have to have the question. What is the blah, blah, blah? And then you've got usually 4 distractors, they're called, right? So you want to know if people actually know what the definition of this, if it's a definitional thing. So one of them is going to have to be the correct answer, and you're going to have to come up with 3 distractors that are sort of close but are not right. Because you want to know, and this is, again, for some pretty basic low-level learning, we're only expected to be able to people to understand and recognize. So it's at the lower end of that Bloom's taxonomy. Although you can create some fairly complex test questions. But okay, think of a term that you learned in this class that you didn't know before. Then you can go back to your blog notes too if you want. And
Into a question or?
yeah, so make me a question. So here, so on here, on this one, Glenn's question, what is the what is it, system tray? And then I need 4 distractors, right? It is a where you wash dishes. And remember, when you're creating things in a hierarchical, you can just go enter, and it puts things in a hierarchical. If you want to create a node in a horizontal node, you use tab. If you want to do it in a hierarchical node, use enter. So where you wash disher, I gotta spell that right. Dishes. Dishers? No, that's not right. Where other icons are available.
Are you supposed to add your own name on here?
Yep, put your own name on here and make me a question. What's that? Where's my... Found it? So then as you're creating, and see everybody else is creating on here too.
Are we answering it as well?
Yeah, so that's what I want you to do is ask a question and then give me 4 distractors.
3 distractors.
3 distractors and 1 correct answer, exactly, yeah. Because we're gonna build these into a test. I'll build this in, well, we won't have time to do it today, but I'll build this into a test and I'll show you how to do it, and we'll all take this test. Good, clean fun. I see Serena's following along from home. Good job. I think she must be watching the live broadcast. And click the link and she's here. with us in spirit.
Yeah.
I'm going to even make another question just for fun. And because I'm on that level, I want to create that. Oops. So now I'm going to insert something on here.
Oh, yeah, that's on the month,
Well, not off topic, but how do you embed a code from a Google Docs? Like I created just a references bibliography, but you showed me.
Okay, yeah, and you want to embed that?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a list, it just says like copy link, there's no embed.
Sorry about the publish.
Actually, there is, but it's actually doesn't work very good. It's the same thing, published to the web, like we
You
did
have to
that.
publish it to like YouTube or
Well,
something.
no,
Publish to the web, then it will should show it. Like file, is that Google Docs?
Yeah,
yeah, I can go back over that.
okay.
It actually gives you embed code in there, but it's for some reason it doesn't work very good in the Google Docs. So I got to show you how to have another embedding frame,
Okay.
and I'll show that. That's going to be coming up for sure. So the iframe, it's called. How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? Some good ideas. Yeah, some good ideas about theories too, concepts that you've come across or terms that we've used. And give me at least one, but you can make as many as you want. Stump your friends. Sheena, good one. What's delay microseconds? Good one.
Happy. Masina.
You don't see, oh, mine's probably below.
Where are you? Stacy? Yeah, okay, yep. Social constructivism. Yeah. One more distractor. Usually there's 4, right? This is a bit of a science of building tests, multiple choice tests. It's a whole other thing, right? Creating the proper distractors. And they've got to be close enough so that you discriminate between people who actually really know things. And sometimes if you get good at taking tests, you get good at recognizing the bogus distractors, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean you know anything about it. It's just that you're good at taking tests. And that's the problem with multiple choice tests. Mostly what they're testing is your ability to take a test, not necessarily your content area knowledge. So if you get good at taking tests, yeah, you're going to do it right. Doesn't matter if you know nothing about it or not. Usually, if it's a good test, that should prevent that sort of thing. But most tests are not good tests. They're easy to trick. So most of the time, the type of test that you test is, like I say, recognition. For example, if you're studying, something, a technical subject where there's a code, where it's important that people know the code of things, then you can use it just so that people recognize it. But again, lower level learning, you're not really required to adapt or apply anything or synthesize any knowledge or anything like that. So
Your image is a black hole.
is that
See
it?
that on the news.
Yeah. So I just did that to show that you can find an image. Yeah, I just tucked that in there. So when you create that node, you can go in there and add any image using this little set of tools on the side here. Or you could go and find a video. Lots of different resources that you can add from there. Good. Yeah, getting some good questions on there.
Is that Edith? I'm sorry, I accidentally.
Somebody wanna put,
Well, you can't wreck it in it. Eh?
Screencastify, that was me.
Well, so then what you need to do is,
Sorry.
no, just take it and drag it where you want it, right? That's the joy of this, of course, is that you can reorganize this. Anybody now can reorganize this map.
You had to share the link before you was able to.
In this one, I had to publish this map and make it publishable and make it a what they call a brainstorming session. That's what we're doing is brainstorming, they call it. And then, because now this is one of your maps, you are a participant in this map, you should be able to see these little things down here too. Well, in fact, you can see who's contributing to this map, and most of the time it shows up as individual icons. And again, when we go back to this little clock down here, we should be able to see how this thing was built right from scratch. So if I move this slider, it goes right back to the very beginning of this thing. And my contributions are all in red. So the first couple of contributions were just me, right? So now, but if I play this, you start seeing as people add on to this thing, added their names on first. Usually this thing plays along here too. You can see each node as it comes along, but so you can see the whole construction of this thing as a process. So if this got off track for some reason and I wanted to go back to a certain stage in time, I could go back to this revision right here and say, revert to this as it existed at this point. Or if I want to go back to the very start and try it again, I could say, revert to this original version that started with just my node in the center. So, but you can see as we're going along here, and you can watch this on your too as you're.
Oh, you have to add it to your.
Now, do you have audio?
Okay.
Who's ever watching and didn't have audio, I think I can turn it back on, so let me know. Who's saying? How long was it off, I wonder? Anyway, so now we've got a multiple choice quiz with one question with 4 distractors on it. I want to make it a required question so that when people take this test, they have to give me an answer for this question before they can go on to the next question. And then I'm going to hit the plus button and add another question. So in this case, I'll go back and now find another question here just for fun. Stacy, what is social constructivism is? And option 1 is the idea we learn best through dance. Whoa. The idea that we create artifacts of our learning. Construct a social learning environment. Now, in this, I want to make sure that it's also a required test question. If I wanted to make another test question that's the same and just wanted to change my distractors a little bit, I could duplicate this question, and now I could sort of give a few different distractors or reorganize the distractors or change something. So you don't have to kind of type in all of the questions, especially if you've got one subject that you're trying to test knowledge of and you have a bunch of questions to ask about the same thing, you can ask about. So we can in fact do that. I make a duplicate question here. Oh, no, I don't. I'm not gonna make a duplicate question. I'm going to delete that one. So again, just hit the garbage can, leave the original one here, and I'm gonna create a new question. In this question though, I'm gonna put a picture and an image of it. So I'm gonna go find an image someplace. I'm not gonna put my mug on there again. I could though. Select this one. Let's say that's a pie. This is a picture of a cherry, apple, pumpkin. Everybody's hungry now. Let's get out of here. Or chocolate. My favorite, chocolate. If anybody was interested, my favorite's chocolate. Maybe there's no, well, I don't know. We'll see. I was saying cherry because I could sort of see cherries. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm just farting around. So I got too many options here. I'll just delete this one option. I only want 4. So now I've got a test that has 3 questions, 2 of them related to the topic at hand, the other one just fooling around. So now if I want to view this, see what it looks like as a test, here's what it is. So I haven't put any numbers on it because, as I said, I want to be able to sort and shuffle the questions. So, but if I go back, so if I want to sort and shuffle, this question I want to move up to be the last question. This, so you can reorganize your questions as you want. So you can build a different test. So it doesn't matter if your students get a copy of your test and spread it around thinking that they're going to get away with something. You can just create a new test every time you present it. Okay, let's leave it at that. I'll add a few more things to this tonight. I'll go back into our questions on this and I'll make an actual test out of this, and we'll see what happens with it. So a couple of things that you can do, of course, is that, for example, this distractor here, I can add some information to it. I can make it so that it's got go to section based on an answer. So I could, if somebody got the question wrong, I could actually put something in here where they could go and find the correct answer. So instead of just being a testing thing, it's a learning thing. So you try to test your knowledge. If you know it, that's fine. Click, 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 you go through. But if it's something you don't know, well, then it will refer you to either the text of the class that you're taking, or different possibilities like that. So it's more than just it's got more potential than just a test. Okay, any questions or comments on this now? What we did today? I think we'll wrap up today, and we've covered a lot of ground again.
Yes.
We seem to do that. Yes, well, now we're kind of circling around a few things though, too, right? So some of this stuff you should start recognizing. Anything, these Google things, they're kind of laid out similarly. They sort of do the same things, Same with MindMeister. Once you start figuring out what all the features are in MindMeister, well, then you're just adding to your knowledge. You're just adding to your competence. Most of you are, pretty hot on your logs.